Today I'm going to be getting holiday ready. So this will be my last video before I go away on holiday next week. Go away, my staycation. So I'm going to try and tie up a whole bunch of half-started DIYs from the last week and see if I can just kind of get my life together. It's a big ask, but... Starting with this. So I wanted to replace this netting yesterday before my little nappy nap. And yeah, let's start that first. Give me the encouragement to continue. You ever do that where you're like, oh, I don't quite feel like doing anything today, but I will start just this one teeny tiny job just to get me in the mood and then see if it works, if I continue the work. It may seem only minor, but the amount of additional light that I will get from changing this net out for one that is more see-through is actually quite substantial. Especially since I'm growing strawberries in that top corner, they need quite a lot of light to turn red. I'm trying to create 0 gaps in this net, and that is for a few reasons. Number one, as I've mentioned before, I get lots of visits from cats and from foxes, who both bury gifts for me in the soil. But also because the birds like the strawberries, so I have to make sure that this is bird proof. And I'm just using some clothes pegs on various parts to close up any gaps. I've also got some plans for my water butt that I will show you when I get the camera in a little bit closer. I've decided to install some guttering on the greenhouse. I don't know if that's a crazy idea yet, but until I do, I want to still be able to salvage some water in the water butt. That bird just flew into my net. Looks like I need to make it a bit better. It got in just here. To solve this gap, I decided to weave a bamboo stick in between the net, in and out, so that it straightened up the net and prevented there from being a gap. But even then, it still took a fair bit of wiggling to get it into the right place. I just did a Google search for what mosquitoes don't like because I've just come into the garden. And because I have this box here with these water plants, it's acting as a bit of a ground, a bit of a birthing ground for all of these mosquitoes. And there's absolutely loads, and I don't really want them here. Especially since I actually have a hammock that I put across the pond. So I'm going to go buy some plants that they don't like. So this is my solution for still being able to collect water in my water butt before I'm able to install some guttering to collect it. And if you're wondering why I don't just leave the lid off and let the rainwater pour into the top, it's possible for small animals to get caught in here. They go in to try and retrieve the water and then they get stuck and they can't get out. So this net is just to prevent them from falling in. The other job I wanted to get done today was to put some plants in the planters on the wall in the front garden. I have the snapdragon or terrarium plants. I grew these from seed last year and they were all stuffed together in one tiny pot. I split them out into different pots in a previous episode. I decided that I wanted to plant 4 plants per trough. And this is partly because I just have so many of them. I have this really bad habit of just taking whatever seeds I've got and chucking them into a pot. And then of course everything grows and I don't know what to do with it all. Here's my troughs. To be able to plant these, I needed to displace some of the soil. This is because the troughs are already full. So when you add in a plant the size of this with all that additional soil, it means there's too much. So I'm just filling in my old plant pots that have just been emptied of plants with the displaced soil, and I will take this back into the back garden and do something with it. I've planted these an equal distance apart, and what I'll do is I will go in and add additional plants around them. Oh, now here's the main star of the show. This is one of those beetle larvae that I mentioned. These are the ones that eat all of the roots of the plants. I decided to rehome him in my compost because I'm not too fussed about them eating the roots in the compost. I installed these troughs a couple of years ago, and when I did, I actually screwed them into the wall. This was to help prevent them from being blown off the wall when there's high winds. I also added back in a couple of the plants that I took out of the trough originally, the ones that have survived the winter. I don't know how they survive, it's amazing. And I also rehomed some of the plants that are in this top bit. Again, I planted these seeds really late, and so they grew really late last year. None of them flowered. And amazingly, they survived the winter, which is just unbelievable. And because of that, they are very hardy and they have flowered really early in the spring. So this is where we've got to today. I do have some more plants growing in the greenhouse, so once they have matured, I will add them here. In particular, a plant that's called Love Lies Bleeding, which is one of my favourites. It's very large and it drapes over and it's got this really beautiful purpley red colour. You'll never guess who snuck out for a sneaky Chinese. It was me. The answer was me. And here is the face of pure happiness. This is my moss that I found yesterday in the planters, and I've salvaged it and I haven't done anything with it since yesterday, so it's just sat here in my kitchen. Hopefully there's no spiders in here. And I just think that this part of the moss is really pretty. Anybody know what that's called? I was thinking about building one of those terrariums that has moss and plants and rocks and stones. I'm going to see if I've got any sort of glass jar or pot that I could put it in. What are you doing there?
Interesting. Why are your branches falling off?
I've either overwatered it or underwatered it. I don't know which it is yet. I feel pretty sure I had something, a glass something in my basement room. So let's have a little look. Oh, well that's it already. In fact, there's two in here. I've got two options. Maybe you can tell me which one you prefer. Oops. Too zoomed. So there's this one, which is like a money jar. Do you think that would make a nice terrarium? In fact, I think that's definitely the one, because this other one is super big, and I like something about the lid being a bit more closed off. Overwatered. I've had more difficult relationships with plants than I've had with real people. That's a job for later. I'm gonna have to repot this. How am I going to get this moss into that jar?
It's a little bit dirty. I don't know how to make a terrarium. I should look that up. My phone.
How to make a terrarium. Layer your pebbles to 2 to 3 centimeters. Next, add the charcoal. I don't have charcoal. I don't have all the bits that I need to make my terrarium, but I do have some of the bits. And even making the first step in a DIY is one step closer to being finished, because every little helps. So here we have my selected jar and my moss. I'll keep this damp until I've got all the bits that I need. I'm going to pick up some little stones and pebbles. I might have some somewhere from beaches. Not that I would steal. I've been caught in a lie. I took some pebbles from a beach, okay. I'm going to find those because they're somewhere, but I can't find them until I tidy up, which is one of the things I want to do whilst I'm on my annual leave. So this is a job that I will come back to.
I'm super excited to take some time off, and I look forward to seeing you when I come back. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. Oh. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe.
It was absolutely soaked. Yeah, definitely too much water.